this is where we left off. We'd finished working the first 2 rows after our cast on, and from now on we're going to be working, really thinking of it in the round, because we're going to be shaping the toe. This is the toe right here, and I have one of the socks already finished, and what I've done is I've worked up to here. Okay, I've got the cast on row and then 1 round work. Now what I need to do is increase stitches for my toe, and what I like to do is use the lifted increase, because I think it gives you a very neat looking little decorative element here on either side of the toe. And to get this, I will be working right-sided increases, lifted increases on one side, and left lifted increases on the other side, every other row. You cannot work a lifted increase every row. And then I'll be on the other side of the toe, same thing, right and left. And with these increases, if you've never worked them before, you may want to practice on some just regular yarn before you start, because they can be a little tricky. All right, this is where I left off. So I'm going to flip my work going back towards the right, and I want to work the stitches on the needle on the top, so I'm going to shift my cable back. Okay, and then I'm going to pull this needle out. I didn't tighten these needles very well when I started this. You would have thought I would have. And the first thing I'm going to do is knit the first stitch. Okay, and then I'm going to do a lifted increase. Now to do a lifted increase, what you do is you lift the leg, the right leg of the stitch below the stitch on your needle. This is the right slanting lifted increase. And I insert my needle into that lifted leg. And I actually could put it on my needle or just leave it there. I'm going to knit into the leg below, and then I'm going to knit into the stitch. And I'm going to work to the next to the last stitch. Now, right lifted increases are a lot easier than left slanting lifted increases, because we'll see when we get here in a second. Okay, I'm going to be making it in the next stitch from the bottom, and this is a left slanting increase. So here's the right leg, don't use it, I need to use the left leg of the stitch. Now the problem is that there's something in between me working that, and that is the stitch itself. So I have to work the stitch, and then I have to go down and get that leg of the stitch. And I put it on my needle, and what you don't want to do is work it through the front if you lift it, because that's going to twist it. I just want to knit into the back of it, and there it goes. Now that's one side of the toe. I'm going to flip my work, and I want to work the stitches on the top of the needle. So I'm going to slip those down, and I'm going to pull this guy out, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other side of the toe. I knit the first stitch, I lift the right leg, I knit into it, and I knit the next stitch. So I work to the end, up to the last 2 stitches. Okay, and remember, I can't get to this leg until I work the stitch. So I'm going to work the stitch, and then I'm going to insert my needle into that left leg of the stitch. I'm going to put it on my needle, and I'm just going to knit it off. Now I've increased 4 stitches, and I started with 16, so I'm up to 20, and I'm going to need a total of 64 stitches, or 32 on each side. So I'm just going to repeat that. So I've got my increase row now. Let's look at this closely, and you can see I've got 2 little stitches coming out where there was 1, and 2 little stitches. If I look at the other side, it is the same. And I'm going to work a plain row, and then I'm going to do my increase row. Plain row, increase row. And what happens is on the right side, if you notice, I get this line of stitches that's going up the side. Those are those lifted increases. That's the right leg of the stitch, and it creates that decorative effect. Now on the left, it does the same thing. And that's why I like this one. If you have another increase you like, feel free to work it as well, but that's the one I like best. The next time I will be seeing you in a video, it will be when we start to shape the heel. From this point, once you have all of the stitches on your needle for the toe, and you just repeat that step over and over again, work to the last 2 stitches on the left, work the increase in the second stitch on the right. When you have the right number of stitches, you just work in the round using either double pointed needles or a circular needle until you get to the place where you want to shape the heel, and the pattern specifies where that is.